make everyone a better society kind of term, make everything collectivism and like everyone together.
They made it better, but you know, people couldn't think or couldn't like love or anything like that. That's not, you know, what we were made for. We were made to, you know, to have more potential.
They had good intentions, but the way they executed it was kind of wrong.
Beautiful. Which leads into open-ended question number 1. Why did Equality 72521 say he was born with a curse?
He was born thinking that being different, that knowing things was bad. So because of that, he was just born thinking that if he was a bad person because of being smart and being something that people rejected.
On page 22, I think he said he was born with a curse of transgression of preference, which means he has a mind of his own. Like he knows what he likes, he knows what he doesn't like, and that was seen as a sin, but that's human nature. We can't really help it.
Like on page 18, it said like we were all born with a curse because it made him like think different ideas and think individually and think by himself, which was against everything the people of society taught him.
Yeah, from what Ishmael said on page 18, it says that this is our wonder and our secret fear, that we know and do not resist of what, you know, that they can't, you know, stop what they think and what their opinion is. So equality knows, like, you know, we should think.
That's like where like everything started building up individuality, was like that been manifested in Anthem of freedom. That's where like it created from.
On page 19, it says, "We are one in all and all in one. There are no men but only the great we, one indivisible and forever." That's something that they teach them from when they're young, so that they will know and, you know, keep it in their mind. So he's there being not one, he's being himself.
So why doesn't the council allow the citizens to think? Question number 2.
And like know more than other people know, so they want them to be the same and not different. But equality was really curious, so he really wanted to learn more. So that's what made him different from the society.
And when you think, you form like a perspective. And it might be different from someone else's. And that's how conflict kind of starts, from different perspectives. So maybe they were trying to protect them from like war and things like that. But in all that, they just like took away the world was different. They weren't happy.
I see why they did that, but then all the lying and stuff, I see the good intent and like what the government was trying to do kind of, but then all the lying and stuff was just unnecessary, because then when equality discovered it, he's probably going to end up making his own civilization or something, and then the other government, they're going to regret it.
What do you think they would like revolt and like, you know, protest against it? Like maybe later on, if you know.
Continue.
Like I think probably like equality would come back and like
Yeah.
gather it up again.
It might be.
One question was like fraternity. I think it was at page 72. It said, "How dare you gutter cleaners, smoke fraternity 932, to hold yourselves as one alone and with thoughts of one and not of many." So like, there's a thing about, and here it said like the whole thought of we as a process, and like how they're taught the concept of we from birth, kind of engraved in the minds.
I think that the council is actually afraid that someone like equality would come along and then get people to be like, hey, look, individuality, whoa, this is pretty cool stuff. So they'd assume a place of power over the council because of their ideas and their thoughts.
I have 2 thoughts. I'll have to take one at a time here. So, Krista, you sparked this first one. When you mentioned, like, what do you think will happen with someone like equality, like individuals who realize their individuality? That made me think of the age that we discussed, right? This, I think it's, where is this? Equality 72521 in question number 8 states that it is very unusual for men to reach the age of 45. We talked a little bit why that might happen, but what are some of the possible explanations for life, why life expectancy is so short in his society?
I think the government takes them out. Like they say at age 40 they go to homeless useless anyway, so they don't have a need for people after they're 40. So then, why do they need to spend resources and all this other stuff taking care of the people if they're not going to do anything for the great we anyway?
Also like
Probably no like purpose to live anymore. like, even though they already know that life is not what it is turned out to be, or maybe they don't, but either way, they still know that, like, even, like, they're old, like, nobody wants them, you know.
It's called totally useless, right?
So, like,
I mean,
they
like,
have
we
no
like
purpose.
talked about this in class when Miss Reaves asked us, why would they be in at 45? Maybe because I remember someone said that because they would be wise and they would know, you know, what will happen, and they would give, you know, advice to the young people. Maybe it's because of that. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say because when you're 45, you're wise, or when you're old, you get experiences and then you know things. And ego is defined as the enduring and conscious element that knows experience. And then ego is I and self. So when you're older, you get that sense of yourself and knowing. So I think that the council uses a corrupt sort of euthanasia, where the ones who are relieved of anything is really the council having to deal with individuals.
Question. Euthanasia is just like euphemism.
Euthanasia, yeah, it's like killing people.
Like on page 19, it said like also when we just kind of keep that out is because the old ones are talking about the unmentionable times, so they probably also feared that the people like would talk about the unmentionable times when like, the little people was here, like the young, and they were like, oh, that might be better, and they would try to go against the society with that as well. Like you said, like it kept on talking about their own ones we talk about unmentionable times on page 19.
Yeah, actually, let's all turn to page 19. I think that's a great selection. Page 19, I think you're talking about last paragraph? Okay. But we must never speak of the times before the great rebirth, else we are sentenced to 3 years in the palace of corrective detention. It is only the old ones who whisper about it in the evenings in the home of the useless. They whisper many strange things, of the towers which rose to the sky. What's that?
Skyscrapers.
In those unmentionable times, and of the wagons which moved without horses, cars, and of the lights which burned without flame, electricity. So why do you think these old 45-year-olds are whispering about this in the home of the useless? They want. So did they experience it firsthand, maybe?
No, they know it. I mean, maybe they never told anybody, and they kept living the lives they, you know, have. That maybe, you know, they do know it, but they won't tell it to anyone because it's actually a sin, and they would, you know, get killed for it.
So I'm sorry. So do you think it was experienced firsthand? Do you think someone told them? I mean, this is all.
No, it's probably like someone told them because like I don't think like 45. I think it was like it said like it took 43 years for someone to accept the candle itself. I think it was in the book somewhere, and like they said that probably like the old ones would teach the other new old ones coming in, which would like keep on talking about that. So like everyone who went in there would pretty much know.
And we kill them all.
I still think the society, like, in Anthem is fairly new because after all the wars, let's say that was like 10 years, and then after that it took 50 years just for them to get candles and stuff. So then it would be like 60 years, and I think maybe the old ones could have heard it for someone else, or maybe, no wait, didn't they say after they're 45 they go to the council of the wise, or whatever it's called?
Those are the ancient ones. Like
Yeah,
the old
they
ones.
become the ancient ones.
Some do. It sounds very Giver-esque, doesn't it? Yeah, and then the rest go to the home of the useless. I think you're right. I think when we first talked about how far in advance this might be, I think this is like thousands of years, right? But if you're useless at 45, and if you're dying out shortly thereafter, it would only take a generation or two to change things drastically, right? It sounds far off, but does it have to be? Not really. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to move into a universal theme real quick. So if you go to number 1, is it better to be concerned with your own self-interest or the self-interest of others? If fighting for your rights is considered a crime, how would you fight for them? And there are a few people I still haven't heard from yet, so I'd love to hear from those people during this answer.
That is basically more concerned with like your self-interest and the self-interest of others, because if you're living like for somebody else to please somebody else, then you're not really pleasing yourself. So, what do you do?
Well, what if